Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you.
Donald Trump's war, essentially with our closest allies, has been a very public affair. His calling Justin Trudeau, the governor of Canada, his disgusting attacks on President Zelensky to his face in the Oval Office, and the general tweet storm about Mexico and tariffs and the EU. Donald Trump is making his anger very public, but it is also privately very scary and dangerous, and we got a glimpse into that and leaked phone call between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau that revealed just how dangerous his plans are, and a really shocking scandal. And we are going to get into all of it, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. And before we can get into this phone call, of course, we need some context on the situation from Justin Trudeau calling out Donald Trump's tariffs in this clip right here.
The United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, their closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both. There is absolutely no justification or need whatsoever for these tariffs today. Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false. Now I want to speak directly to one specific American, Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see.
So obviously the tariff plan is stupid. Obviously, it is just going to hurt our trading relationship. We are already seeing Canadians protest in their own unique ways, making sure they're buying Canadian products. I saw a coffee shop in Canada change the name of an Americano to a Canadiano or Canadian Eon, something like that. But they're changing names. They're protesting. It's pretty funny to see, and like I've said so many times, Justin Trudeau sounds more like an American than Donald Trump ever has when he's talking about how heartbroken he is that Donald Trump is going off in this stupid trade war. But as he pointed out in this leaked phone call, it's clear that he's doing so with different intentions than just an economic war. He seems to want more of a war. And we see that in this article right here, how Trump's five-state Canada talk came to be seen as deadly serious president. Trump, in an early February call, challenged the border treaty between the two countries and told Justin Trudeau he didn't like their shared water agreements after President Trump imposed tariffs on Canada. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made an extraordinary statement that was largely lost in the fray of the moment. The excuse that he's giving for these tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, and completely false. Mr. Trudeau told news media in Ottawa what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us. He added, "This is the story of how Mr. Trudeau went from thinking Mr. Trump was joking when he referred to him as Governor Trudeau in Canada as the 51st state in early December to publicly stating that Canada's closest ally and neighbor was implementing a strategy of crushing the country in order to take it over." Mr. Trump and Mr. Trudeau spoke twice on February 3rd, once in the morning, and again in the afternoon as part of discussions to stave off tariffs on Canadian exports. But those early February calls were not just about tariffs. The details of the conversations between the two leaders and subsequent discussions among top U.S. and Canadian officials have not been previously fully reported, and were shared with the New York Times on condition of anonymity by 4 people with first-hand knowledge of their content. They did not want to be publicly identified discussing a sensitive topic on those calls. President Trump laid out a long list of grievances he had with the trade relationship between the two countries, including Canada's protected dairy sector, the difficulty American banks face in doing business in Canada, and Canadian consumption taxes that Mr. Trump deems unfair because they make American goods more expensive. He also brought up something much more fundamental. He told Mr. Trudeau that he did not believe that the treaty that demarcates the border between the two countries was valid and that he wants to revise the boundary. He offered no further explanation, and of course, as additional reporting stated, Trump and Trudeau's call after the tariff announcement got heated and included profanity as these topics heat up. So the anti-war and pro-peace President Donald Trump, and of course, I say that jokingly, now wants to go to war with Canada over our border. What it is, insanity. He wants some big accomplishment. He wants to put his name on something. And of course, he wants to distract from the fact that he is screwing you over to give Elon Musk the biggest tax cut in history. That is what this is all about. And it's scary. And not only is it scary because of what Donald Trump wants to do, but because of how much he is foot-flopping and how he's really just acting on his own whims, and in doing so oftentimes humiliating himself, as Lawrence O'Donnell points out right here.
Donald Trump backed down today. It doesn't happen every day. But because Donald Trump is actually, by far, the most cowardly president we have ever had, who's pretending to be a tough guy, he has backed down in his first presidency and now in this one more than any other president has done it. He backs down within a day of making decisions, pulls them back. Donald Trump backed down today, and no one was surprised. There are people who have to make their living based on knowing when Donald Trump is going to back down. They include the richest people in America and their day-to-day investment practitioners on Wall Street. Wall Street knows that Donald Trump is a pathological liar, which everyone knows. And Wall Street knows that Donald Trump doesn't understand anything about economics. Nothing. Wall Street has been listening to Donald Trump very carefully for years, and they've never once heard Donald Trump accurately describe what a tariff is. The truth of tariffs forced Donald Trump to back down today. Wall Street knows that Donald Trump lies every time he talks about tariffs. Everyone on Wall Street knows that no foreign country has ever paid an American tariff and never will. Wall Street knows the only people who pay Trump tariffs are people in the United States who pay for imported goods, like, say, coffee. Unless you're one of the lucky ones who has tasted the very small batch and very expensive coffee grown in Hawaii, not one drop of coffee you have swallowed in your life came from an American coffee bean. Every ounce of coffee you have swallowed came from another country. According to Donald Trump, the United States of America should be buying nothing from other countries. Tell that to the 211,000 people working in Starbucks just in the United States and the 361,000 people working in Starbucks worldwide. The coffee economy in the United States employs literally millions of people, all based on a product imported from other countries, imported from Africa, imported from South America. And this country could not survive a day without coffee, and we all know it. I could go on, listing examples of why international trade is a good and necessary thing. That is a fact that has been known since before the American colonies were settled, but Donald Trump doesn't know it. And so Wall Street knows that their job is to teach their slowest student, Donald Trump, whenever he goes dangerously too far on his illegal Trump tariff crusade. And the Trump tariffs are illegal because the Constitution puts Congress exclusively in charge of tariffs, just as Congress is exclusively in charge of income tax rates. But a provision that entered federal law during the Cold War provided the president with the authority to change individual tariffs only for national security reasons. The intention at the time was to allow the president to personally change tariffs in the event of war. No one writing that law thought that such tariffs could ever, under any circumstances, be imposed by the President of the United States on the most faithful and peaceful and supportive neighbor any country in the world has ever had, Canada. And so lost in the noise about the Trump tariffs is that very simple fact that they are illegal because none of them have the slightest relationship to national security. Wall Street did its job today and forced Donald Trump to back down from the most destructive aspect of his demented and illegal Trump tariffs on Canada and Mexico, the tariffs on automobiles entering the United States from Canada and Mexico.
So Donald Trump is going to continue to try and fail at this plan. But I think we may get to a breaking point if he can continue to act with impunity. And on a whim with these tariffs, I fear that when he wants to get a little stronger with them and wants to revise that border, that it's not going to be a question of going to Congress because it hasn't been with these tariffs. And I think in part that's what he wants to accomplish. And it's why this call is so scary. And that's why this needs more attention. It's why we're going to be talking about it every single day on the show. If you want to support that, of course, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.